Okay, so the expression live and learn has never been so true since I've started messing around with these quads. I received this from GearBest, and right after opening it, quickly realized there were a couple things wrong with this. First of all, there's no damn trim, which I think is probably really, really stupid. I have no clue who thought that was a good idea, but there's no trim at all on either one of these quads. I thought it was a great deal getting two quads. Not really such a great deal when neither one will actually fly. So I've already modded this one. Since I had it open, I went ahead and did the antenna mod here too. Always seems to help. Turns out what it was is the motors. And I don't know why it was the same on both quads, but this front left motor was just basically jammed up. I mean, it moved, but very, very, very stiff. Turns out what it is these things are gear driven. See, the motors go out here in the arms, and what happened was down inside the main gear on the shaft here, there wasn't enough shaft on the bottom side of it. And I'll show you when I get the other one open, because I'm going to do the same thing to the second one. Only I'm not going to bore you with the whole video. I'll just cut in and out, show you little pieces of it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't think I need to show you all how to take it apart. It's pretty basic. 2 screws per motor, then you have 3 across the top, 3 across the back. Pretty simple. Once you get the screws out, it just pops apart. You'll see later. Okay, be back. Alright, so here's kind of a quick demo of the problem I was talking about with the motors being bound up. I mean, you can see these spin freely. This one, not so much. I really got to flag it to get it to turn. You can blow on them. They all seem to work really good, except this one, front left. I don't know why front left arm, but it was like that on both models. So here's a little demo. You just give it a little tiny bit of throttle, and you can see basically these two. Well, this is the worst one. I don't know why. It seems like this one's also a problem too. So it looks like I'm going to have to probably look at these two. But you can see that it's struggling to turn. It wants to turn. They really do want to turn, but, you know, oh well. And so you can tell what that's going to do. I mean, if this motor's not turning, it's going to go this way. I didn't notice this one was having a hard time too. It's not as bad as this one. Anyways. So, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and crack it open, and we'll go from there. Oh, by the way, that's the sound effects when you're shooting. When it mentioned on the website sound effects, I kind of thought, you know, maybe missile sounds. No, that's your sound effects. So there it is. Okay, so you can see I have all the screws removed. And I know somebody's going to give me a hard time about laying the screws out in the proper orientation like that. And I know generally all the screws are about the same. But it turns out with this, there is one different size screw. This one right here. It's completely different from all the rest of them. Anyways, it's nice to keep them in their proper orientation. Just that way you can get them back into the right holes. I just find that a little bit easier. Anyways, the next step is to just simply pop the two sides apart. And it's really, really super simple. after you get all the props out, you just start in one corner. You just kind of work your blade in, a small little flathead blade in there, and once you got it started, it just pretty much unsnaps all the way around. And there's no wiring or anything attached to both sides, so one side is completely free of, and it's the top side by the way, is completely free of anything attached to it, so you can pretty much not worry about, when you do separate the two halves, about, you know, tearing a wire out or anything like that. Like I said, everything is all on the bottom. And see, nothing attached here to the top at all. And then you have your motor pods, and they all have screws in them. Oh, by the way, this motor that was running slow that I showed you earlier, turns out there's actually nothing wrong with it. I just had some hair wrapped around the shaft. So it's this one right here, and when I get it out, I'll show you. Sorry I have to keep cutting back and forth, but I don't really like doing that fast forwarding thing. And all the rest of this stuff is pretty much boring, because I'm sure most people know how to do this. So, be right back. Alright, there it is. So basically you just take the two screws out. Put this on camera. You take the two screws out holding the motor mount down. Once that comes out, the actual motor itself just slips, you know, basically right out. It's no big deal. And then this is the problem. You have a plate down here that the gear actually sits in, and when the shaft isn't pushed in far enough, I don't know if you can see that, yeah, when that shaft isn't pushed down into the gear far enough, what happens is the gear itself tends to stick on this bottom piece here. So all it is, oops, basically all it is the bottom of the gear sits down in that hole, and when that piece of the shaft right there isn't sticking out far enough, the bottom of the gear here rubs on this, slowing the whole thing down to a crawl. So I'll show you what happens when it's fixed. Alright, so it's all done. I don't know if the microphone will pick this up or not. But you know you got it when, after you put it back together, when you spin it, you can hear how it continues to spin nice and freely. It wasn't doing that before. Also, I forgot to show you how to do this. Now you got to be really, really super careful, because you can break this gear super easy. So what you need to do is you need to get this shaft pushed through the gear a little bit more, and it's in there really, really super tight. So this is what I found. Is you find something that's roughly the same diameter as the gear, and basically what I did was I used this little, I don't know what you call it, it's just a piece of junk tool, and it's kind of like a socket screwdriver. And you put sockets, whatever. Anyways, go ahead and you put this in here, and then you take a hammer, alright, and you very lightly tap the shaft down through the gear. Now you want to be super careful, like I said, because that gear will very easily crack. And once that happens, well then, that's it. Piece of shit. Useless. No good anymore. Also, when you're tapping on here, besides tapping very lightly, you also want to make sure you're tapping very squarely down on the top, because you don't want to bend the shaft, because then you're going to be screwed again. Anyways. Alright, so basically putting it back together, super simple, just reverse everything you've done. Put the shaft back up through the little hole here in the middle. I don't even know if you can even see this with my big old fat fingers. You shove that back in there. You put the cap back on. You'll notice when you take yours apart, you throw a little bit greasy in there. So it's not a bad idea to go ahead and throw a shot of WD-40 in there, or lithium grease, whatever it is you want to use. Anyways, so there it is. You just reverse the steps that you've done up to this point. And like I said, I don't know if the mic picks that up or not, but you can hear that it spins totally freely now. You know, that motor should not be a problem. It actually wouldn't be a bad idea to go through and do all four. Now I know I showed in the video that it looked like this motor was kind of seizing up also. It wasn't, it was just hair. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do all four anyways. Oh, one other step. Since all this crap is built in China, and well, now, I don't know about their quality control, I noticed that the little piece of shaft that fits down into that hole, okay, it's not a bad idea to take and hit it with a fine file, because I noticed that there were burrs on here from when it was manufactured, which also had it seizing up inside this bottom plate. So another little step you can do. Anyways, let me go ahead and finish all the rest of the motors, put it all back together, and then I'll show you how it runs after being put back together. So good luck if anybody else has this problem, and we'll see. Okay, so there it is. All fixed. You can see all the motors are spinning. So that's it. I hope this video helps somebody. You know, I mean, it's not like you can prevent this, you know, with any kind of trim buttons, or there's no trim buttons. So basically, you know, if your aircraft has a screwed up gear like that and it's drifting like this, you know, there's no trim to help you counter that. So this is really the only way that I could figure to even get them to function as a quad. You know, and being as, you know, I got sucked into this because I thought, oh, this is great, 2 quads for, you know, $40, $20 a piece. They look like decent quads. I didn't research enough. I didn't look at any reviews for it. I just kind of jumped on it. Big mistake. I'll never do that again. So, anyways, good luck, and I hope this video helps somebody. Okay.